All right, thanks, Allie. Well, from that to this, the D.C. scandals continued this morning, and this week we will see a new report that just details how extensive the lavish spending and ridiculous waste at the IRS was. Upwards of $49 million on 220 conferences over the course of a number of years. I didn't realize it was that bad. I thought it was a conference here, a conference there, and a few $1,000s spent on things like this Gilligan's Island team building video. Watch this.
It's critical for their continued success in the field assistance tax. They've got to board for CPE. Wonder what we will wear. Do you think formal attire will be appropriate?
Yes, that would be lovely.
Ginger, Mrs. Howell, hold on. We need to know more about this. What's it all about?
Marianne, we're going to share our experiences with all field assistance employees during CPE.
I remember CPE. It was so much fun.
Oh my gosh.
Tucker, what's happening here?
It's hard, it's watching that, it's difficult to remember that this is an agency with guns. This is a law enforcement agency that can destroy your life and destroys the lives of many people. This is the IRS. And by the way, it's not just the IRS. I mean, this happens throughout government. These team-building exercises, these conferences take place. I mean, Fort Lauderdale, Las Vegas,
now, in their
LA,
defense,
all of them are stuffed with these conferences every month.
Now, in their defense, they say they are aware now of the waste. They've streamlined it. They've cut back on all of this. Travel has been slashed up to 80%.
Well, of course, that's what the new acting commissioner has to say now that all of this has come to light, and more is coming to light, as Clayton said, because the Inspector General's report is going to come out and show all of the grotesque waste
Look,
that's been happening for years.
They even brought sand in for that. Did you see that? They brought sand and seashells in for that.
It's absurd. Let us add to this. They also had to spend $1,600, which, by the way, is a drop in the bucket compared to the millions they've been spending on these conferences. But to learn how to do a line dance, here you go.
Here's the Cupid Shuffle.
This continued absence.
Oh my God!
Come on now.
Look,
and I love how well it's shot too with videography.
well, that's the point. This
cameras.
is the point. Is that they spent it on production of this video. I understand line dances. I enjoy a good line dance. I think that is fun and team building, and I'm sure their jobs are mind-numbingly dull. But you can shoot it on your iPhone for free.
Right.
You actually don't need to spend any money.
Wait,
the
why are we
IRS doesn't
doing this
know
in
that.
the first place? Why are we paying for them to do team-building exercises? Isn't the point do your job? Right? I mean,
that speaks to the most frustrating part of it for me, because I think about families who, I think about my parents, or I think about other families who, middle class, who at the end of the year or when tax time comes, are, just petrified, right? Then they end up having to write a check for $3,000, $4,000, and they mail it off. That is an enormous amount of savings. That's an enormous amount of work that they have to worry about sending off to the IRS. And in one afternoon, they're spending a quarter of that on some cheese tray down at some hotel.
So if you can't send your kids to summer camp this summer because you can't afford it, remember the IRS and their team-building exexercises.
Oh,
you paid for that.
Makes me so.
I mean,
so
millions and millions of dollars. So prepare yourself.
In the Star Trek video here, we're showing Allie. Look. Here's the Star. They did also look at the production value of creating a Star Trek set.
They have a nicer set than we do. They do.
Now you're both just envious. You're envious for the Star Trek element.
Right.
But again, $49 million spent on these conferences over the space of 3 years. They say that now the culture there will change, but only because this has now come to light and become public.
Let us know what you think about that. Friends at foxnews.com or FF Weekend on Twitter. You suspect?
Any job from which you can't be fired is going to breed nonsense like this. It's going to breed scandal. It's going to breed waste. If you can't fire people, you're going to have mediocre employees. Period. I'm an employer. That's the lesson I've learned. Anybody who's ever had employees knows that's true.
Well said. Coming up here on the show.